First of all, good morning and just welcome to everybody for taking some time to join us today on this little mini webinar for us, this week's edition of the Long Coffee Break. Welcome to anybody who might be viewing this recording later on down the road. First of all, my name is Cameron Suizo. I'm a senior account executive with Long Building Technologies in the building intelligence space. And I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming Anna Lynn Bergen with the Washington State Department of Commerce to talk about a new topic, new law that is going to become very relevant to, I would guess, many of you on this call today. So this is a really cool topic, and it's the 2020 Washington State Clean Buildings Law. You've no doubt heard of it. You no doubt have some questions. I know I have some questions, and hopefully over the course of this webinar, we can get some answers for all of you here. If there's some good feedback, maybe we'll have another webinar down the line, but rather than me yapping on about this, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Anna Lynn, and she can go ahead and take it away.
Great, thank you. I'm gonna share my slide and get things going. Can you see my screen?
I can. And just really quick before you get started, if you have any questions, if anybody has any questions, feel free to shoot them down into the chat box and we'll get to them towards the end. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you to Long Building Technologies for inviting us to participate. My name is Anna Lynn Bergen, like Cameron said, and we have on the line Luke Howard, and we work with a talented team at the Washington State Department of Commerce. I just want to make sure you're hearing me. Okay, great. Sorry. Sometimes silence, I think no one can hear me. So we're going to cover a lot in the next 10 minutes. Like Cameron said, feel free to enter questions in the chat box. If we have time later, we'll answer questions. If not, we'll email you a response. All right, the Department of Commerce is the administrator of the state's Clean Buildings Law. Our agency's purpose is to strengthen communities. Commerce touches every aspect of community and economic development. This is the team that has been working hard to stand up the Clean Buildings Law here in the state of Washington. Our team falls under the State Energy Office. For today's agenda, I'll provide a brief overview of the Clean Building Standard, a little bit about the mandatory requirements, the different compliance paths, the customer support program, and the early adopter incentive program. The building sector is the second largest carbon polluter behind transportation. Investments in building energy efficiency is one of the most cost-efficient ways to significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The Clean Building Standard is designed to secure this energy efficiency opportunity. The law applies to existing non-residential buildings over 50,000 square feet with some exemptions based on building types. The law is based on Standard 100, ASHRAE Standard 100. Commerce developed amendments to the standard, which can be found in WAC 194-50. Note, it's important to read both the standard and the WAC to understand the full scope of the rules. Commerce is charged with notifying building owners of the requirements of the law and their opportunity for incentives by July 2021. So it's important to understand your utility provider's role with complying with the Clean Building Standard. There are two specific requirements assigned to the utilities: benchmarking and participating in the incentive program. So this slide shows you a breakdown of the standard along with the amendments. A good place to start reading is Annex Z, which provides the administrative procedure to the standard and further guides you in determining the compliance path. So building owners of a covered commercial building must meet the following reporting schedule to comply with the standard and every year thereafter. So building owners who don't comply with these compliance dates will be subject to fines. So what qualifies as a covered commercial building? Well, let's look at the definition. Covered commercial buildings is a building where the sum of non-residential hotel, motel, and dormitory floor exceeding 50,000 gross square feet, excluding parking garages. This workflow illustrates a high-level view of mandatory requirements for all covered commercial buildings. It's mandatory for all covered commercial buildings to implement an energy management plan in accordance with Section 5 of the standard. This energy management plan includes the operation and maintenance requirements that must be implemented within 12 months prior to the mandatory compliance date. Additionally, compliance is not achieved until the building obtains one of the following performance metrics. Either the building energy use intensity is less than or equal to the target energy use intensity, achieve compliance through the investment criteria of Annex X, or conditional compliance has been accepted. And I'll speak about that a little more in a couple of slides. Building owners who do not fulfill these mandatory requirements by the scheduled compliance dates are subject to fines. To establish your building performance metric, you must benchmark the building using Energy Star Portfolio Manager. Benchmarking will help determine which performance metric path to pursue towards compliance. So there can be many personnel contributing to compliance with the Clean Buildings Performance Standard. The slide highlights roles defined within the standard. Any one person can be responsible for more than one of these roles, and they can be found within or outside the owner's organization. The qualified energy auditor and the qualified persons are the only defined roles requiring specific license and certifications. And you can find the definitions of these roles in Section 3 of the standard. So allow me to briefly go over the conditional compliance. Conditional compliance is a temporary compliance method used by building owners to demonstrate the owner has implemented energy use reduction strategies required by the standard, but has not demonstrated full compliance with the energy use intensity target. If a building owner needs additional time to measure and verify implemented energy efficiency measure, they can apply for conditional compliance 180 days prior to their compliance date. So this slide shows reporting documents based on the compliance path you take. Note that conditional compliance includes an annual reporting and a completion reporting. So failure to submit documentation demonstrating compliance or conditional compliance with the standard by the compliance date will result in the assessment of administrative penalties. Commerce by rule can increase the penalty rates to adjust for inflation, but more information can be found in Annex Z, Section Z.5 or Z5. So our customer support, we're here to help. It's a complicated law. So big things are coming. We're going to have a building owner notification. We're setting up a clean buildings portal with built-in applications, a redesigned clean buildings webpage. We're currently building that as we speak, and informal and how-to videos, a customer support hotline, and an overall customer support program. So Commerce will be sending out a letter notification through the mail to building owners no later than 2021. On the slide, as you can see, we captured a few building owners that received the notification, and look how late they are. We hope you're just as happy to receive the notifications as they are. We are hard at work at developing the Clean Buildings portal, being very thoughtful of the user experience. The portal contains a database of all buildings we identified as 50,000 square feet and over. Each building owner will have a unique login, which will give them access to their profile and their building's information. And the portal will have most of the required standard compliance forms, and it'll connect it to your Energy Star Portfolio Manager account. The portal will also allow building owners to apply for incentive program, check the status of application, and apply for exemptions, and pretty much view their information, check for errors, and request for corrections. So the early adopter incentive program, it's going to launch July 1st of this year. This is the same time, this is going to be the same time as building owners receive their notification. This is a performance-based incentive. It's a one-time base payment of 85 cents per square foot of gross floor area paid to the utilities or utilities participating in the early adopter incentive program. The incentive program is managed by Commerce in coordination with the utilities and the Department of Revenue. The utilities over 25,000 customers are required to participate, and the utilities with less, it's voluntary. While Commerce is the administrator of the program, it's the utilities who pay the incentive payment to building owners. They'll receive the tax credit from the Department of Revenue, and the tax credit will be used against their public utility tax. Utilities that do not pay a PUT, the public utility tax, are not eligible to participate. So it's important to note that this is a state incentive. It can be administered through the utility conservation incentive. So if they have an incentive program, you can combine it with our incentive program. Also, if you are a customer of a utility that has less than 25,000 square feet, and 25,000 customers, and you find your utility not participating, it's up to you as the customer to kind of convince them to participate so that you could be qualified for the incentive program. So here are the qualifications for the early adopter incentive program. The building must be a covered commercial building, and multifamily buildings are qualified for this as long as they're over 50,000 square feet of gross floor area, of at least one electric utility, at least one electric utility, a gas company, or thermal energy company providing or delivering service. The building must be 15 EUI or above the target and bring the building to full compliance with the clean building standards and meet their EUIT. So that's all I have. We want to thank Long Buildings Technologies again for inviting us to present today. Please visit our Clean Buildings webpage. It is not our final webpage. It's still, it's going to be more supportive in the future. And if you have any questions, feel free to email buildings@commerce@wa.gov. This concludes our presentation, and that's all I got. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Annalyn. I really appreciate you coming on with us. It looks like we do have a question from Mr. Heath. Is the target the same for everyone, or how is the target determined? So I'm going to versus like hospital or commercial real estate, offices, medical office buildings. Is that what you mean, Heath? You might be on mute, but either way.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm just going to assume that that's what he meant. And I'm going to start, and then Luke, you could finish. The target is based on building activity type. Luke?
Yeah, so I'm going to guess that, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Targets vary. It depends on the use of the building. So table 7-2A of WAC 19450 lists all the targets for probably close to 100 different types of building uses. You can develop a target based for a multi-use building as well. It's an area-weighted target depending on the uses. So the use types are defined by Energy Star Portfolio Manager. And we have specific targets that we developed for the state based on the regional building stock assessments.
Another great question. I was actually going to ask this one too. Is there a demonstration of the intent to reach the EUIT to qualify for the incentive? And what happens if a building doesn't meet it? Kind of like what we had talked about earlier.
Yeah, so due to time constraints, Annalyn had to breeze through a lot of material.
Yeah.
There are two different compliant performance metrics that you can pursue. One would be the meeting the target EUI. If that's not possible, you pursue the investment criteria outlined in Annex X of WAC 194-50. So that would mean you do an energy audit, you implement all cost-effective energy efficiency measures identified in that audit. And there is a verification of savings that goes along with that.
Well, thank you for being on here. I'm sure that given the amount of interest, we'll do maybe a couple more of these. Maybe we might do a little bit longer webinar next time so we have more questions or more time for questions. And maybe in a few weeks, we can dig in a little deeper and talk about the incentives a little bit more. Lastly, again, I'm Cameron with Long Building Technologies. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Join us next week where our security team will be talking about Boone EDAM turnstiles. Again, have a great rest of your day and thank you for being here.